Hi, I'm planning to make myself a pizza, and I thought I would bring you guys along and show you my method for making it. And really not so much the pizza itself, but the dough. It's a no-knead kind of a pizza dough, and it's really tasty. My inspiration for it came from this book called The Bread Bible by Rose Levy Birnbaum. My wife gave me this book when I started baking bread, and it's been my inspiration for a lot of things, but the pizza dough in here is really tasty. A very simple recipe. It's actually a 2-day process. It doesn't have to be, but I like to do it that way because it gives you the best flavor, and it involves mixing the dough now, covering it, putting it in the refrigerator for a very slow overnight rise, and then actually putting the pizza together tomorrow. Again, you don't have to do it that way, but that's the way I like to do it because it provides the best and deepest flavor. So, without further ado, let's get started, and I'll show you how it all gets put together. Well, the ingredients are very simple. I use the King Arthur brand Italian style flour, which is a low protein flour, and makes the dough very well behaved and easy to work with. In lieu of that, if you can't find it, all-purpose flour is just fine too. And then I use white sugar, and I use natural sea salt, but any salt would do the trick. And then about 1/3 cup of room temperature water, and some extra virgin olive oil. And here's a hint: the olive oil does not go in the dough. Stay tuned and see where it goes. Okay, well, that's my setup. Let's get the quantities measured out and show you how this all gets put together into a pizza dough. Okay, all set up to mix up the dough. I'll put the quantities up on the screen rather than read them all out to you. I generally weigh my ingredients for accuracy and repeatability, but I will also put up the volume measurements as well. This recipe makes enough dough for one pizza, about 10 inches in diameter. Again, depending on how thin you want to stretch the dough out. It could be 9 inches, could be 11 inches. If you want more than that, you could just double the recipe for 2 pizzas or triple it. It's up to you. It's very adaptable. I start with the flour, and I'll add the yeast, the instant yeast, and the sugar. And then I'll mix that together just to get everything mixed up into the flour as best I can. And then I will add the salt. And the reason I do it that way is the salt can kill the yeast, so you really don't want it to come in direct contact. And doing it this way just kind of keeps everything separated. Okay. And we'll make a little depression in the center here, and we'll add our water. Now we're just going to mix this all up gently until it's all, the flour is all mixed in with the liquid. And we don't want to over mix it because it'll start to get very sticky that way. We just want to get it mixed up, incorporated together into kind of a rough dough. One of the tricks to this whole recipe is you don't want to overwork the dough at all if you can avoid it. That looks pretty good right there. I might just call that done. You can see that's what I have, just kind of a rough dough. Now, as I said earlier, the olive oil does not go in the dough, but the dough does go in the olive oil. So in the bowl, this bowl, I have about two tablespoons of olive oil, and I'm just going to spread it around the bowl here and get some on my fingers so I can get this dough out of here without it sticking to me. And I'm going to put it in the olive oil, get the rest of it if I can. And I'm going to mix it around so it's all coated with the olive oil. And pat it down a little bit. So it's like that. Now that's going to sit out. I'm going to cover this with plastic wrap. It's going to sit out at room temperature for about a half an hour, and then I'll put it in the refrigerator overnight, and we'll come back tomorrow and make the dough for dinner, or make the pizza for dinner. So I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, next day. It's going on about 22 hours since I put this in the refrigerator, and let's get the plastic off the top, and you can see that it's probably easily doubled in size, and it's just full of air bubbles. So the yeast and the chemistry has done its job there. And now I will get it out of here. I have a piece of parchment paper taped down to the countertop, and I've lightly coated it with a little bit of olive oil. So now I'm going to get this out of here and onto the paper. I'm going to save that olive oil that's in there. I'll be using that. And so we want to just kind of deflate it a little bit. And then we're going to work it into a round and tighten the top. And then we're just going to round it with our hands, tucking it under. Now I got a piece of plastic wrap here. I'm going to cover it with that. And I'm going to let it sit for 15 minutes just to relax itself a little bit, and also to warm up because it's still cold from the refrigerator. Okay, it's been 15 minutes, and we'll take the plastic off. I'm going to save that. We'll use it again. And now it's relaxed itself a little bit and flattened out. So we're going to take our fingers and just get a little oil on them for one thing. That's why I saved the oil, but I'm also going to use that again. And then we're just going to gradually push it out from the center, keeping round as we can. It doesn't have to be round. It's a homemade pizza after all. We're not out to win any shape contests. We're just wanting the taste contest to be won. And we're going to keep pressing it out like this until we get about a 10-inch or so circle out of it. And you notice that the dough is not really fighting me much. It's not really springing back like some doughs do. This dough is very well behaved. And that's part of it, is the Italian flour, but it's also hasn't been kneaded, and it's been treated very gently the whole time. Okay, that's looking about right. Let's get this side out a little bit. At the same time we're getting the big bubbles of air out of it. Okay, now I'm going to take a little bit of this leftover olive oil and spread it over the surface spreading it as evenly as I can. Okay, and then we'll get our plastic wrap and cover it up again. Now that's going to sit for another half hour, 30 minutes, and what that will do is it'll allow the dough to settle down and also rise again for what will be the third time, and that'll give us a nice airy interior. For 30 minutes, I'm going to take the plastic off. You notice I've taken the tape off of my parchment paper here, because we're ready to put it in the oven for the first bake. Now I've got my handy dandy homemade pizza peel, very lightly dusted with semolina flour. I'm going to slide it right under there, and then I'm going to go over and put it in the oven. Now I have a baking stone in there, and I've preheated the oven and the stone for about an hour at 475 degrees. So now the pizza dough along with the parchment paper is all going to go right in there on top of the stone. Okay, now it's going to bake for 5 minutes. Okay, it's been 5 minutes. Out she comes. I'll leave that on, and I will discard the parchment paper. Okay, on to the toppings. Toppings, everybody's got their favorite for toppings. I believe when you have a great crust like this, simple is better. So I just put a little sauce on it. It's a homemade sauce. And a little mozzarella cheese for the next layer. Some Italian sausage meat that's been pre-cooked. And some thinly sliced green onion. Followed by a little more, this is an Italian cheese blend that's got some provolone and some Parmesan and a little more mozzarella in it. I'm just going to put a light coating on top. Okay, now this is going to go back in the oven for another 5 minutes or until it's done to your satisfaction. We want the cheese melted and the crust kind of browned around the outside. Make sure it's loose on the board, and in it goes. Well, it looks done to me, so I'm going to bring it out. And there it is. Okay, that's it. I'm not going to sit here and eat in front of you because you can't taste it anyway, and that's really the only way you have of knowing if it's good or not. So give it a try and let me know what you think.